Hello everyone, today is Monday, August the 25th. It's 1:43. I'm Scientific here at Scientific Audio. We basically mix and master, record, and all of that type of stuff like that. But I like to hop on and just, offer my input, if you will, about things that are currently going on in society and going on in the news and all of that stuff like that, and kind of give my perspective. I appreciate any likes, I appreciate any shares, any feedback, any input. I welcome you guys to contact me with anything that you feel may be helpful. If you find something that I say on today to be helpful, hey, I encourage the input. I encourage the reaching out. They used to say when I was coming up, it takes a village, to raise a kid, and that's basically where I want to go with it on today. And again, any likes, shares, subscribes, it will be greatly appreciated. So yeah, what I want to talk about is this thing with this whole thing with Donald Trump sending in the National Guard, military, or whatever, to go into the DC, and so I had a friend. I guess I would start there. I have a friend, I should say, that made mention about it, and I guess he was just giving his input and how he feel it's being handled, or why he feel it's being handled the way that it's being handled. And so what he said was, hey man, things is crazy out here, man. Donald Trump sending the military into DC, and from what I'm hearing, it's probably going to spill over into other hoods like Chicago, California, Baltimore, Maryland, areas like that. And so I just quiet and I listened, because I wanted to understand where he was coming from. And so the point he was making was this affecting the hood. They're going into the hood and flooding the hood, and so he went on about the arrests, possible arrests that was going to come as a result of it. And so I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it bothered me. It really did. It did something to me in the core of my stomach. And I'm gonna tell you guys why. And it's because the angle or the perspective that he gave was, to me, in my opinion, it was so far off from why the Trump administration is doing what they're doing. It was so far off. It didn't shed any light on why he's doing it, even if it was, if his point was valid, and it just didn't shed any light on even why he was even arguing the point, because only thing he fixated on was that he sending them into the hoods, right? And so it got me to thinking, and that's what, of course, prompted me to come in here today and just kind of voice my opinion and my view about it, and hope that someone would come across this content, or whatever you want to call it. Could be just a message. I'm not out to try to be fancy and all this other stuff, man. Money is good and stuff like that, but the community is failing the youth. The community is failing our youth. Leaders in the community are failing our youth because of that money. Everything now is business. Let's handle this business, and business oftentimes is associated with them not speaking on the things that they should speak on, bring the things to the forefront that they should, because they don't want to lose business. But I don't want to veer too far off with that, because that's could be saved for a later date. But I want to go back on what the guy friend of mine that was what he was saying. And so I said, okay. I asked him a question, because this friend that I'm talking about, he live out in a $550,000-$600,000 home here in the suburbia Macon, Georgia area. And if any of you guys know about Georgia and know about the real estate market here in Georgia, if you're able to afford a $500,000-$600,000 home, $700,000 home here in Georgia, you're doing pretty good. And here's the catch. And I'm gonna get to the question I asked him. Here's the catch. His boys live there in the home with him. Really nice home, man. I drive through there often. It's really nice home. They really got many mansions out there. The homes in the neighborhood that he lived in, if they were in California and New York, oh man, you'll be spending like some millions. But Georgia's different, because the homes and the land packages are a lot. I say they're a lot more. What's the word that I'm looking for? They're more of a smart buy, I should say, because you get more bang for your buck, if you will. But anyway, his boys are in the home with him, and his boys are pretty well mannered guys. They work, and I think his oldest boy is in college and all that stuff like that. And so, but this is the question I asked him. I said, hey man, let me ask you something. I said, I hear what you're saying about Trump. I said, so would you be okay with your boys going out in the community, robbing, some rape, stealing, breaking their homes? Would you be okay with your boys doing that? And the laws on the book, and I'm talking particularly about DC, from what I'm told, the laws on the book allows juveniles to be charged as a juvenile all the way up until the age of 24. And that's something that I want to come back around to also. But I asked him, would you be okay with your boys roaming the street, committing crimes, and take on the understanding or perception that that's okay? And he was like, oh, no. I said, okay, well, let me explain something to you. I said, if you go back and you listen to one of the things that Donald Trump said, and I don't want to try to quote him on it, it's just something that I caught he said. He was like, a lot of the crimes that's being committed in the DC areas by blacks, the young blacks, the teenagers, the kids. I said, so now if you take that and you factor in what's on the books as far as the laws are fixed to where they can commit crime and repeat committing crimes all the way up until the age of 24, I said, what you think is happening to their minds the older they become? So they're allowing them to think that, hey, there are not going to be any consequences, or serious consequences, I should say, with you going out and continuing to commit crimes. And so let's just say now they're 24, 25 years old, and they've been allowed to think that that's okay. That has become a part of that person. Now, I'm not saying that they can't change, but what I'm saying is the likelihood of them really understanding at the age of 24, 25 that, hey, all of a sudden now that's not right. That's highly unlikely to happen, because this stuff is happening at their development phase of their life. And so again, now they're 24, 25 years old, and then they expect them to all of a sudden, like the snap of your finger, just put that away. That's not going to happen. So what I'm getting at is what that is allowing them to think is that it's okay. It's okay. We understand. Y'all black people, y'all come from the hood. Y'all, you know what I mean? Y'all are the product of your environment. Y'all are the product of your ancestors. And it's just so much more available nowadays for the youth to the point, they don't have to think like that. But if whatever party that's running that city want to continue to make the kids think that, hey, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that what happened, man. That what happened, man. Yeah, my mama and them, yeah, my grandmama and them, and they ain't do my grandmama and my mama and them wrong, man. So yeah, we supposed to get out here and do this. That's setting them up for failure, man. It is. And that's why I was trying to explain to him. He got quiet because I don't think he really thought about it like that. He got quiet and went on, and I'm hoping when I see him again, I'm hoping he have a fresh approach to how he see all of this. You know, I'm hoping that's the case. But yeah, that's what's happening, man. So now, so I want to also say this. Don't get me wrong, because you know, I came up the rough way. I didn't have the guidance. You know, honestly, my mom and my stepdad, they had a really pretty decent team, and up until when I was in the 7th grade, and so they started having problems, and their relationship broke up, and I was the oldest at the house at that time. I was the middle kid of 3. I mean, the middle kid of 5 children, and my oldest 2 siblings, my brother and my sister, they left and went off to live with their father. And so there I was, the oldest in the house with my mom, when her and my stepdad broke up. And so I'm watching a lot of the stuff that she was trying to handle, and I knew she couldn't do it. So what it led to me doing at a young age, 14 years old, I left. And of course, think about it. For a 14-year-old, I hadn't finished school. I didn't have any job skills. I couldn't get a job. So what y'all think happened? I ended up in the street, trying to survive the best way I knew how. And it often involved stealing and all the kind of stuff like that, and you know, trying to get into drug dealing and all of that stuff like that. But that's what was going on in my home. I ended up going into juvenile and getting into trouble, and ended up back and forth in jail and prison sentences and stuff like that. And that's just my story. So what I'm not getting in here attempting to do is, or coming in here and attempting to do, is act as though I don't understand the struggle, because I do. You know, been there, done that. So I'm not somehow on a high horse now, as they would say, because now, you know what I mean, I've kind of moved past that aspect of that phase of my life. But hey, I'm still in a situation now to where I have to do what I have to do. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that I don't understand, you know what I mean? Because the thing about it is, once you become a felon, they're not willing to clear your record and allow you to go on and be considered a decent, productive citizen, then hey man, you really screwed. But anyway, that's a topic for another day too. I just wanted to throw that out there because I don't want it to come off as though I'm thinking I'm better, or like I don't understand, because I do. But the point again that I was making is that why would we want all youth to feel as though it's okay to commit crimes? To feel as though because our ancestors or the history of this country, you know, awards us the right to just think it's okay to commit crimes. Stuff happens. Like I just said, people got to figure out how to eat. I get all of that. You understand what I'm saying? But what I'm getting from this, the evidence is there that a lot of these kids have a broken home. A lot of them probably don't have both parents. A lot of them probably don't have their parents at all. A lot of them probably have just the grandparent or an aunt, a brother, or a cousin or something, or they just fending for themselves. So I get that. But what I'm saying is, where are the black activists? Where are the pastors? The ones that supposed to be enlightenment to the community. Where are they? The Al Sharptons and all of them. Why are they going on there trying to blast Donald Trump because he's sending in the police, if you will. He's sending in the nation's police department to bring under control the crime rate in these cities that's being committed mostly by our kids, our youth. Why aren't they going out? And if they don't do nothing but say, hey, listen, I don't like Donald Trump. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't like him. I feel this way about him. I feel like he's this way or this way or this way. But I'm gonna stand in support of what he's doing because I want our youth to have an opportunity. I want our youth to understand that this is not the way of life. Why aren't they? And I'm sure there are thousands upon thousands of civil rights activist group leaders over in that area that's discolored. Why aren't they out there advocating on behalf of the youth and being stern and firm with them, making them understand that that is not going to lead to a good end? Why aren't they? Because they live well, and they themselves know that at some point what's going to eventually happen. Like I said, these kids are going to rack up a bunch of felonies. They're going to become a felon. A lot of times, a lot of them are going to end up in prison for the rest of their lives. And a lot of them are smart, very intelligent. And nowadays, I say the youth nowadays don't have any excuse because you got the technology is so broad. AI, you can get on AI and ask AI darn near anything, and you can get the answers. And opposed to once upon a time, the answers, the information wasn't available. Now everybody want to like, they want to subscribe or share. Everybody want to give the information away. Now I remember once upon a time I went to school for audio engineering, and I remember once upon a time it was on seal. Nobody would tell you how the proper technique in recording vocals or how to mix a song. Now everybody giving the information away. So really there is no excuse. What is happening is, and where the failure comes in at, is the leaders are out making too much fuss about the wrong things. They're fighting for their party instead of fighting for the youth. Because that was the dumbest thing to me. I mean, if I'm wrong, I want you guys to reach out to me and tell me if I'm wrong for how I'm thinking. So are we supposed, I'm gonna ask the question, so are we supposed to allow the youth to continue to go out and offend, and then when the police presence come into the play, are we supposed to fight the police? No, I'm just being honest. Because I'm gonna shoot it to you straight. Here in Georgia, these young guys getting caught up in murder charges, armed robberies, home invasions, and stuff like that. Georgia's not playing with them, bro. They going right on over into that YDC. And if the offense is severe enough, they're being put on pause until they become an adult, and they're going right on into that prison system. I'm just being honest with you. Do I like it? I don't. I hate it because there's another one of the youth that's fallen. You know what I mean? That have thrown the opportunity away. That's afforded them now. So no, I don't like it. Am I advocating our youth going to jail and locking our youth up? No. But what I am saying is, if they're not going to be made aware that that's not the mindset they should take on, then we're not helping them. That's what I'm saying. They're not being helped. Because again, by the age 24, 25, I told you through the 14, 15, 16 on up to age 24, 25, they're still developing in their mind. So that's becoming a part of them. Whatever they're experiencing at that time, it's becoming a part of them. And I'm gonna go ahead and be honest with you. That lifestyle is addicting. It's addicting. I was just telling you guys, I come out of a home that I had my mom and my stepdad up into the 7th grade. So my people didn't allow me to get out and do a lot of stuff. They didn't. You know what I mean? We were in the house, like, you know, I got off into sports and in the band and stuff at school and stuff like that. But my parents, they weren't with allowing me to go out and just be out in the street. They weren't with that. But when they broke up, that's when I left. That's when I started to get a taste of that life. Oh wow, we out here and we're breaking in cars, we're stealing cars, and you know what I mean, and then robbing people and stuff like that. Right there, it was something I wasn't exposed to, and once I got exposed to, it was like a high. There was an addiction associated with it. But what ended up happening was there were consequences because law enforcement was involved. But I'm gonna tell you this: the leaders in my community, even at that time, and particularly at the church that my mom made me attend, guess what they did? They looked down their nose at me. They didn't come along beside me to try to really understand what I had going on. They didn't. So they shunned me. So I was left to fend for myself, to try to figure it out myself, because I was shunned. You understand what I'm saying? So now I'm an adult now, and I see a lot of the same stuff happening now. I mean, I'm a musician, and so I do get gigs with ministries and stuff, and you know, they hire me to play and stuff like that, and then like I said, I do my production stuff too. And so I see the same thing once I mingle with them people. I see the same thing. They're very political. Very political. They'll get up there and preach all around the point of, as an example, the point of why this man is sending the military in. They'll preach all around that. As a matter of fact, I was hired to play this past week, and the lady that spoke this past week did the same thing. Got there, preached the same thing. And I'm sitting over there on the keys, shaking my head like, man, they still don't get it, bro. They don't get it. Our people, all we think is racist. They racist. That's wrong. We never look at why people doing what's being done. That's the first thing we want to, you know, we want to mention. It's racist. It's racist. It's racist. And it's just, and don't get me started with that, because we are some of the most racist people against one another. It's like it's as though we can't stand each other, man. I mean, I was hired for one organization to play for them. The leader, he was 70 some years old, and here I'm a young black man, and he felt as though I didn't deserve to ask what I feel I'm worth. You know, I heard him talk about, you know, he was from that era where the, you know, civil rights movement, and he lived in the shot houses. You know, the shot houses, they call them Liberty houses here in the South. For those of you who are from the South, you would know, but for those that are not from the South, it's just like the shacks, if you will. He was talking about he lived in what we would call a shack. And so I'm listening to this guy talk. He's talking about he come from that era, so I'm thinking he understand me. But no, he didn't. He's still about that business. See, he ruined the opportunity to show a younger black man than him that, hey, yeah, we got you, man. We understand. He had the opportunity to do that, but he didn't. He showed me that he would rather play politics, you know what I mean, handle his business, rather than shed some light on a younger black man who, if it's God's will, gonna come into his age at one day and then be expected to turn around and pass it back down. You see what I'm saying? But they don't do it. They don't. So what I'm not gonna make this video long and drawn out, you know what I mean, because I just wanted to get on and I wanted to make a point. Black people, let's start looking at the positive in it, you know, as it pertains to what's going on around us. Let's look at the positive. Do we want our youth to continue to take on a mindset that they should be criminals? Or do we want them to understand, much like many of you that probably watching now, your folks whoop your ass to show you, like, no, that's not it. Whoop that ass. And then, in turn, what happened? Now you're lawyers. Now you're doctors. You're teachers. You know, you're entrepreneurs, and so on and so forth. Because your people, whoever that person was in your life at that time, made you understand that there are consequences. They made you understand that. And so it's no different now. And like I just told you earlier, a lot of these young guys don't have what you had. They don't have what your kids have now. You're providing that structure for your kids now. A lot of them that are out there committing these offenses, they don't have that support group. They don't. And the light don't just come on for all of us. Some of us don't get it until later. So what I'm saying is this. Before you judge the situation, and again, you're ruining their opportunity to look at it the right way. Hey, he's racist. He's just sitting in the... No. Pull up along beside them before you want to fight what he's doing. You get in the fight. Get in the fight the right way, though. Not because I'm a Democrat, those are Republicans, and he's racist and all of that. Man, bump all of that. Don't get into the fight for that reason. Get into the fight because you want to pull along beside these young guys and make them understand, look, bro, you got to change your mindset. You got to change it. Point it out to them. Oh, no. Now what he's doing is he's trying to make you understand that there are going to be consequences. There are going to be consequences. You go out and you have sex unprotected, you might slide by the time you keep doing, you know what you're subject to. You know what you're subject to get. You go out there and experiment with crack. You go out there and you experiment with meth and all this stuff like that. They may lace it with fentanyl. You may scale this time, and the next time, boom. You may catch one with fentanyl in it. And then there it is. You see what I'm saying? There are consequences. So let's get in the fight that way by making the youth understand, again, and I don't mean to repeat myself, that there are going to be consequences. But young man, young lady, you don't have to think that way. You don't. There have been a lot of changes here in America. And I'm not saying that it's all perfect now, because I'm going to tell you now. I told y'all earlier, I caught fellas. I went to prison, man. I ended up in a county. I can say it, Spalding County, Georgia. Racist judge over there, Judge Pascal English. Went in front of him. District Attorney Scott Ballard went in front of him, and I had that court system didn't really want outside attorney, so I ended up with an attorney over in that area, and the fix was in, man. They railroaded the hell out of my ass. They was like, you either going to take this probation or nothing at all. And I had them to the right. I don't want to get off into all of that. We can talk about that later if y'all are interested. I'll have no problem telling you. But long story short, they sent me right on up through there, and that's just a terminology. I mean, they did me wrong. You know what I mean? And so I get it. I'm not saying that there aren't racist individuals throughout the country. I get that. But I'm saying, but for the most part, man, I've met some white people, man, that really helped me in so many ways with my business and all kind of stuff. I had in particular a white broker to introduce me to how the business that I'm into, not the music, some aside from music, he introduced me to how all of it works, man. The inner workings of it. He was the one that did it. And I got family members that's black, been into the business for years, and they wouldn't tell me. See what I'm saying? So I get it. Again, there are some racism still going on here in America, but for the most part, man, that's not really what it's about, man. That's not. It's just, again, the gist of it is, hey, this is the normal way America do business, and this is their laws, bro. You know what I mean? You gotta just can't crash out like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna check on out, man. I hope y'all was able to get something from this little content or whatever. Hey, I'm just trying to voice my opinion, man. Be of any help that I can for the youth. You know what I mean? I would appreciate it, man. Any feedback, like I said in the beginning, any likes, shares, subscribers. I really appreciate it, man, because I want to continue to build on this. I have so much more that I would like to speak on, man, and on many levels, you know what I mean? But I just figured I'd start somewhere, and I started here today, and again, I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys got something from it. I hope you guys will share it with your people, share it with maybe some of the youth that you're involved with in your community, or into maybe some of your church groups, or whatever, to the rec center, or however, wherever. I hope you share it with them, man, and I hope y'all have a blessed remainder of your day. We'll talk to you later. Love.